Welcome to More Faith with Kisha. My name is Kisha and my last name is Moore. And on this channel, we talk all things faith. Well, most things faith. I love to give my faith testimonies to motivate, inspire, and encourage you to keep the faith. And on this video, this is part 2 of when God blessed me with a new job. So if you haven't watched the first video, I would highly recommend watching the first video so you can kind of like understand where I'm going with the story, what I'm talking about. And so everything can click and make sense. And I'm just going to briefly recap the first video. So on the first video, I talked about how I worked at Sears Marketing Center. While working at Sears Marketing Center, God gave me, told me I had the gift of baking. I started a baking business. I left Sears Marketing Center, opened up a cupcake kiosk in the mall in California. That didn't go well. Went to a temp agency, got hired at an insurance agency, received my insurance license within 30 days of being introduced to insurance. So I was selling home and auto insurance. It was a very, very toxic work environment. I tried to go back to where God brought me out of, or I tried to go back to Sears Marketing Center, but the door was closed. They would not rehire me. And so I was stuck at this insurance agency, working there. I think it was like for 6 to 8 months, learning a lot, taking in the information, but it was a very toxic work environment. So I just wasn't happy. I was very stressed working there. And this is just a recap. Another insurance company was reaching out to me for an interview. I was rejecting the emails, the phone calls. I didn't even inquire. I was talking to one of my friends. He said, "Wow, you're not going to even inquire?" I felt stupid. I was like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm going to inquire." Called, spoke to the not the hiring manager, but one, I guess you can call her like a recruiter. She gave me the rundown of the company and what I was rejecting, I was now praying for. In the last part of the video, I talked about how I got set up with the job interview with the CEO of the company, right? So this is part 2. Let's start fresh. So I get set up with the job interview with the CEO of the company, of the insurance company that I wanted to work for. I'm still new to the insurance industry. I'm still new to the game. Everybody else I knew that was in insurance, they had been in insurance for years. So even within being in the insurance industry for 6 to 8 months, is still very new because there's so much to insurance, so much you need to know, so much you need to learn. And even being in it for 5 years, like you're still not going to know anything. So I was still really, really fresh, right? And so, but when I spoke to the recruiter, I mean, she just painted this really good picture and it just sounded like a good dream job for me at that time. And I was like, wow, like I was praying. Before the interview, I was like, God, just like open the door for me to, work for this company, just grant me with favor, get me out of the place that I'm at now. And I was grateful for the experience of the person, hiring me, but it was just so toxic. So let's stay on track. So the day comes for the job interview with the CEO. It's in like Westlake Village near Calabasas. And this is all in California. I'm from California. So this is in Westlake Village near Calabasas. I drive up to the office and I remember the office was just like so beautiful. It had like a lake with ducks and like a little bridge you can just like walk over. And it was just like a really beautiful building, office. The whole area, like everything about it was just beautiful. And then I'm walking up the stairs. I sit down on the couch and I'm waiting for the CEO of the company to call me in so that we can proceed with the interview. And while I'm sitting on the couch, I'm just praying like, God, it just felt right. So you know how sometimes certain things just doesn't feel right. It's like, okay, like, I don't know about this. The people seem off, the location, the building, the office may be dirty or something like that, but everything about it just felt right and it just seemed right. And I was just praying like, God, like this is it. Like I really want to work here. Like open up the door. And I see like all the different like employees like walking around, coming from break, going to the break room. And it was like so cool because everybody was like young, friendly, fashionable. It just seemed like a vibe. And I was like, you know what? This is where I want to be. So the CEO comes out of the office, he introduces himself, and we go into the office. And this is like a 2-hour interview. Here's the thing. What I loved about this, I'm not even going to say his name or whatever, but he was like a blessing to me. So maybe I should say his name. Maybe not. I don't know. But I'm just going to keep going with the story. So we're in his office. He's interviewing me, and he's going through like the rundown of the company, which was like for 15 to 20 minutes. But the rest of the interview, we're talking about me, my life, my dreams, my goals. And it was like nothing really about insurance. One of the things is that for that particular company, like it was a culture. So he was really big on building the company's culture and making sure everyone's personality fit within the culture. That's the refit with the company and the company's culture. That's the reason why everything vibes so well. And when I'm seeing all the people, like everyone just fit. It was like a puzzle. It was weird. I can't explain it, but it was just like perfect or whatever. So he's getting to know me. Can I be a part of this company's culture? Does my personality fit in? So one of the questions was like, where do you see yourself in? I think he said like 3 years, or 3 or 5 years or whatever. I was like, I see myself married with children and opening a bakery. And he was like, that's a really good goal. That's a really good dream. And that made me feel comfortable because I didn't feel like I had to lie in the interview to fit in. I didn't feel like I had to neglect like my passions and goals and everything else that I really, really wanted to do to get the job. Because, you know, sometimes jobs are seasonal. So just because I'm in the place at this season, that doesn't mean I want to be there forever. And that's okay if you don't want to be there forever. And I think that companies and managements, they need to really, you know, make people feel more comfortable with being who they are and not discouraging them for pursuing other things. And maybe they will stay and the turnaround will not be as big or whatever. I'm going to stay on topic. So, I'm telling him, and then he was like, well, what happened with the bacon? And I told him everything, what I did right and what I didn't do right, and, you know, everything I did wrong. He started giving me advice on opening a bakery and just everything. Like, he was giving me advice, and I was like, wow. So we're just talking. I told him I was on Cupcake Wars, and he's like, oh my gosh, like, what happened? I was like, I didn't make it to past the first round. I was out on the first round or whatever. I didn't make it to the second round. So we're just talking, and it was just fun. Like, everything was flowing. I didn't even feel like I was on an interview. I felt like I was sitting in front of somebody, like one of my friends, and just talking to him. And I was able to be myself so that he can see that I fit into the company's culture. So after like literally like 2 hours, he tells me, he was like, okay, you know, I was really looking for someone with more experience. And catch this. He said, I was really looking for someone with more experience. And again, I had only been in the insurance industry for 6 to 8 months. And he told me, he was like, a lot of the people that work in this company, they've been in the insurance industry for like 5, 10 years. And I was like, yeah, like, I get it. I understand. And he was like, well, I'm going to let you know. I think it was on a Thursday or Friday or something like that. And he was like, I'm going to let you know by Monday. He was like, expect a call to let you know if you're going to get hired or not. And so when I left, I was feeling confident. Even though he told me he wanted someone with more experience, that's what he was looking for, I was really feeling confident. The next day, I go back to work and I tell my coworker that was working with me at the first insurance job, I was like, girl, I went on an interview. I was like, there's better out. Oops, I dropped my books. I was like, there's better out there. We're being underpaid and we're not treated right. And she was like, oh my gosh, really? I was like, yeah, once I get in, I'm going to bring you with me. And she was like, yes. So we were both hoping and praying that I get that job. And so the weekend comes along and I'm just feeling excited and just in expectation for something new, for something better. And one of the lessons that I learned from this situation when I tried to go back to Sears, it was a blessing for them to not open the door for me. Because had they opened the door for me, I would have went back to what was familiar, and it would have closed the door for God to teach me something new and to teach me something different and to introduce me to a whole new industry, a whole new world. And I didn't even realize at that first insurance company, I was actually in a training period. Like God was training me for something better and something new. If I had stayed any less than 6 months, I wouldn't have even had the opportunity to interview at the second insurance company, the one that I was believing God to open the door for. Because even within 6 to 8 months, he told me, he was like, that's really not enough experience. So anything under 6 months, it would have just ruled out me being able to interview. Of course, God can do anything. He can open a door, but you get what I'm saying. So Monday comes along. I'm waiting for the phone call. And I don't get a phone call. And I was like, okay, like, dang, he didn't call me back. So Tuesday, I was like, all right, if he doesn't call me by 12 o'clock, then I'm calling him. 12 o'clock comes, I was like, I'm about to call. So I called the recruiting person, and she was like, oh yeah, he was gonna call you today. He wants to speak to you. I'm gonna go ahead and transfer you to him. And then I speak to the CEO. He was like, yeah, we're gonna hire you. And I was like, yay! So I was hired, and I was so very excited. I felt blessed. I just felt like God, oh my God, God just gave me a sense of release and relief. And it was just amazing. Like, I really wanted to work for that company, even after going on the interview and just getting a little glimpse of the company's culture, just getting a little glimpse of the people. It was like I wanted to be a part of that, and God opened up the door for me to do that. And I didn't have to lie on the interview. I didn't have to fabricate who I was. I didn't have to fabricate what I desired in 3 to 5 years, which wasn't working for the company. Like, I didn't have to do any of that. Like, God put me in a position where I could be myself. And because I was myself, you know, I was hired. And let me see. So where are we going with this? So I was hired. I go back into the office of the company that I was working for. I tell my friend who was there, I was like, girl, I was like, I got hired. And she was like excited for me. It was just an exciting moment. But I was just thinking like, dang, like, I'm just glad I stuck with it. Like, when times get hard and you don't know what God is doing, and you don't know what to do, just stay the course. Just stay with where you are. Like, don't be so quick to jump ship before you know what's going to happen next. Like, just pray and just ask God, like, God, I'm here for a season or whatever. I don't know how long that season is, but if it's meant for me to stay here longer, just, bless me to just be comfortable being here, just ease and just peace. Just give me peace. And one of the things is, because that first insurance company, I was trained in an unstructured environment, which helped me to adapt faster with the new company, because it was very, very fast paced. Like, they were selling like back to back. It was home and auto insurance. So selling like back to back, the calls were coming in, emails were coming in, and it just put me in a position to adapt faster. So I understand why God had me there for the 6 to 8 months, because he was training me for something better, but I needed the wisdom and knowledge to be able to handle it so that I wouldn't feel so overwhelmed and I wouldn't just feel the pressure of everything, right? So God had me there for a reason. And then another thing is, even the first insurance company that I was working for, I would still consider it a blessing, because had that person not opened up the door for me to work for him and get me licensed, and even within it being a toxic work environment, then I wouldn't have been able to go to the next insurance company. If I wasn't licensed, if I didn't have any knowledge of insurance, like, he wasn't going to hire me. So God blessed me with the new job. And one of the things is, the pay was like double. It was more than what I was making at Sears. And keep in mind, I was working at Sears for like 7 years, and I supported myself for 7 years working at Sears, and I was okay, like financially, like okay. You would think that, oh, it's a call center job or whatever. You're not making. I was making good money for that time in my life and for where I was in life. Like it was a good paying job, and I go to the next company, which was the first insurance company. I was making less there than what I was at Sears. But when I moved to the last insurance company, I was making more that I was making at Sears and the first insurance company like combined. So it was a blessing in disguise. Not only that, I met some really, really good people at the last insurance company where I interviewed. I hope I'm not confusing you guys, but just kind of, flow with where I'm going. The CEO of that company that hired me, the insurance company, like I met some really good people there. Even him, like he was a blessing in my life. That interview that we had, I learned so much about starting a business, opening a business, what to expect, some of the things that, I should have had in place, like because he was a businessman and he taught me a lot. So you don't even know why you're crossing paths with people. God will send people in your life to give you just a little bit of information, but that little bit of information will bless you so much in the future. So don't get discouraged. Don't be so quick to jump ship or whatever. I understand it's not always easy because where I was, it wasn't easy. Like I was like ready to go. Like I said, I don't like toxic environments, but God had me there, and the season wasn't even a long season. It was like for 6 to 8 months, but I'm glad that I stayed. I'm glad I was on the phone with my friend and he told me to inquire to see what they were talking about. And another thing is too, like, don't be so turned off by one experience where you don't even get to experience where you close the opportunity and the doors for other experiences, because everything is not the same. Every company is not the same. Every environment is not the same. Every person is not the same. So don't miss out on opportunities because you experienced one thing in life that wasn't good. And I am going to end this here, and I'm going to start a new video, I guess you could say, part 3 of when God blessed me with a new job, because I want to go into more depth about the company that I was hired for and some of the benefits of working there and just my overall experience of now working at my dream job. So God bless. Keep the faith. Bye.